away, look at your screen as I share with you the map from today's lesson. Hold on one second. Let me pull it up here. Sorry, where is it? Oh, okay. I'm actually going to download it for you guys, and then we'll be able to just look at it. Okay. So here is, again, excuse the handwriting. Sorry, I can't computer simulate, make it all on a computer, but you'll see in a second. I'll clarify it for you guys. I know there's a lot of words here, but let me just give you the general map over here. So obviously to the left is the Mediterranean Sea. To the right of this map, as I'm pointing to here, is the Jordan River. Here is the Yam HaMelech, the Dead Sea. And as you go up, Sea of the Galilee, and it goes up to Mount Hermon, that is on the top of our map. I used this map a little bit in yesterday's class, but we'll leave it at that for now. Let me go to the Navi now. I'll go to the text of chapter 12 where we're holding. And I'm actually going to swap back to the map and then just read the texts from the Navi and then just point out place by place. Try to point out place by place on the map. So let's go to the beginning. First, we're going to do the text here, the beginning of chapter 20. Where is it? 1 second, sorry. Hold on. How do I get rid of this? I gotta get this away from here. Okay. So here we're holding chapter 12. And I believe we're starting today from verse 7. So chapter 12, we're holding in Joshua, chapter 12. You want to show Rashi's commentary. I don't even think there's any. Maybe there's one commentary in today's class. But let me smaller the screen a little bit. Okay. Oh, we did this already. So we first 1 through 6, I believe we spoke about. I showed you the map yesterday on the eastern side of the Jordan River, the countries that Moshe conquered before he passed away, and then he gave it over to Joshua as Joshua entered into the land of Israel. But here we're going to discuss the 31 kings just mentioned in today's Chitas and today's Chumash, 31 kings that the Jews answered. Verse 7, these are the kings of the actual Israel proper on the western side of Israel. Yeshua Smith, the 31, the kings that Joshua helped take over. And I actually want to mention one or two things. Number one, not all these cities did actually Joshua conquer. The commentaries want to say that they killed the kings of those cities, including Yerushalayim. Jerusalem wasn't conquered yet. It won't be conquered till later on, actually. We'll see that later on in the Navi. So, including Jerusalem, among them and other cities, they stayed in Canaanite hands, but their kings were killed in battle. Very interesting. So you should know, although we're going to say 31 cities, you should know they actually weren't fully conquered, as we discussed in yesterday's class, by the giants we spoke about, and I showed you on the map, the 3 cities where they were still very strong over there. So in these 31 cities, their kings were all killed. Maybe they quashed a little bit the rebellion, the war, but they're still not in Jewish hands. Another thing I want to talk about is why are there, very interesting, and I've heard this before a number of times, why are there so many kings in such a small country? One of the ways that it was explained, I saw in the commentaries, very interesting, is that Israel was the best location. Every king wanted a palace in Israel. So, any guy who was a substantial, I guess, person, a powerful person, would make sure to buy real estate, maybe have their own city in Israel. They would build themselves a palace, I guess, over there, maybe make it even their own country, and they would be inside Israel, which made it obviously more difficult. When the Jews came, they were literally fighting, cities that had maybe countries elsewhere. It was a scary, a scary war to go into. But that's why there are, and that's one way to explain it. Another way to explain it also is, why is each city called a king? I mean, you should call him a mayor or something, governor, whatever. Why are you calling him each a king? And he says, because Israel's so prestigious that even if you're just in charge of one city, you're considered a king at that point in time, because, again, the real estate in Israel was considered one of the most prominent and prestigious, the most prestigious space in all of Israel. So the two of the ideas I mentioned, again, one is that whoever had a country wanted to have land in Israel, or also, even if you were only in charge of a small city, you were considered a king because of the great prestige of the land of Israel. All right, let's continue going. Verse 7. So, Ve'elam al-Chiyar is in the list of the kings in Israel. Asher Hiko Yeshua, which Yeshua smote, Uvnei Yisrael, with the Jewish people, Be'ever Hayardain, Yama on the other side of the Jordan River to the west side of the Jordan River. Now we're going over to the west because yesterday we spoke about the eastern side. Mibal Gad, from the section in Gad, Mibal Gad, from the plains of Gad, and I'll try to point it out, or I think it is what he means to say perhaps in the map in a second, from the area of Gad, the Bikas Halavanoin, I'm not sure what that means, but in the valley of the Lebanon, Vad Hahara Chaluk, until this smooth divided mountain. We learned this in the commentaries. There was some kind of mountain, we learned it the other day, that he's referencing here that either had no trees or was a split mountain, some kind of interesting, unique mountain. Ha'oila Seira, that was going up to the direction of Seir. I believe that's where Esav, the descendants of Esav, lived. Right? We learn about that when Yaakov met Esav. Remember when Esav came to attack Yaakov, he left and went back down to his city, which was south of Israel. I'll show it to you in the map in a minute. V'yitnu Yeshua l'shivta Yisrael, and Joshua gave it. He inherited it to the tribes of Israel. Yerusha, based on the divisions, and we'll learn that in future classes exactly how we divide it, which is also another very important topic to deal with. Let me just go to the map and share some of the locations perhaps that were mentioned in this verse over here, just so we can see. So we mentioned, I believe, I want to start from the plains of Gad. So if you're going to see in the map where Gad on the eastern side of the Jordan River, which we discussed yesterday, they own this swath of land. They asked Moshe for that swath of land before they going into Israel. They said, we want to get our real estate over here. So if I understand correctly, that would be the plains of Gad is from this side and the eastern side of the Jordan River. And then he said, until the split mountain going up to Seir, and I believe when we say Seir, we mean the south. That's where Esav lived, right? When he was running away from Yaakov, like over here, Yaakov said to Esav, go ahead, go to your mountain, go to Seir, and he went over here. So as they own, basically, this real estate he's talking about is from the plains of Gad, which we spoke about, the border, I guess, which is the Jordan River, going all the way down to the split mountain that's on the way to going to Seir. This whole area to the east of it, Yeshua ended up conquering. Okay, that is so far the verse that we learned. Let's continue going right along over here. Bahar, and within that section, there was all these different kinds of real estate, all different kinds of land. Bahar in the mountains, Ubashvela, and in the lowlands. Okay, in the mountains and in the lowlands. Ubarava, in the plains, different plains of the area. Ubashedois, and in the land of the waterfalls. All these different kinds of locations were within this area. Ubamidbar, and in the wilderness. Ubanegev, and in the south. And then he lists the 6 of the 7, because remember, one of the 7 of the countries that different countries that lived in Israel, nations that lived in Israel, 6 of them remained, and he conquered all of them: Achiti, Amori, the Hittite, the Amorite, the Canaanites, the Perizzites, the Hivites, and the Jebusites. All of those lands he conquered. And as you'll see here, we're holding now verse 9. He's going to start reading. You'll see Melech Yericho, the king of Jericho. Echad was 1. Melech Ha'ai, and then the king of Ai, which is next area, Bet El, which is going to count as one of the 31 cities soon, is also Echad is 1. So he's going to list here all the 31 kings that we actually mentioned in today's Chumash. I am going to read it from the book and point to it in the map because it's just the same words again and again. So we don't need to read the text. You can read it yourself after. But I think we're holding right here on the map where I'm pointing to, which is Jericho. I just made myself numbers as I went from place to place. So really Jericho, I wrote here 3 because it's the 3rd place I'm showing you. But really that should be number 1 because it's the first city of what we're talking about. So I'm going to read it inside and point. So Melech Yericho, first he conquered the king of Jericho, right? That was the first city. We learned about that earlier in the first city when the walls fell down. If you remember, they surrounded the wall 7 times with the shofars. That was Jericho. That's the first city they conquered. Melech Ai. Then we move right along a little bit to the west, right here. Ai. That is the next city that they conquered. Mitzad Bet El. It's next to the city right here of that where Bet El is, right over here. Now we'll talk about Bethel. Will be mentioned itself on its own soon, but it's mentioning it now. He's going to first go through the southern cities that they conquered. I think if I remember correctly, right, Ai was the city that they actually killed some of the Jews, and then when they had the second, because they took some of the items they weren't supposed to take, and then they lost the war, right? I think that was Ai that we learned about earlier. Anyway, let's go on. What's the next city? And then Melech Yerushalayim, Jerusalem, right over here. Here's Jerusalem. So the king of Jerusalem was also killed. As we said, they didn't actually conquer the city. That won't be conquered till later on, but it's one of the cities that they killed that got rid of the king, but left it under the Canaanite control. Melech Hebron, right? Where's Hebron here? Right over here, more to the south. We have the king of Hebron, famous city. Melech Yarmus. That would be number 8, right here. Jarmuth, right over here would be Melech Yarmuth. Melech Lachish, number 9, right here. Right here would be Lachish. Melech Eglon. Eglon would be right over here, right on top to the north of it. Melech Gezer, number 11. That would be right over here, much more to the north, near the Mediterranean Sea. Melech Dvir, king of Dvir, number 12, right over here. Melech Geder. Then we move on to the king of Geder, number 13, right over here is Geder. Melech Chorma, all these cities in the south, right over here, number 14. Melech Arod, the king of Arod, another famous place which you could go to today. It's still called right over here near the Dead Sea. There's a city actually today in Israel. I'm sure the Israelis know, but for us Americans, they don't know. There's a place called Arod, also right near that same area, which is number 15 that we have so far on our list that we're counting. Melech Livna. Livna is right over here. Another city called Livna. Melech Adulam. And then number 17 is right to the north of Livna was Adulam. Melech Makeda. Number 18, where is that? Maybe this is already going up to the north cities. Let me see. Melech Keda. Right here. Keda and Bet El, and going back to Bet El, we mentioned it before near Ai, right? That's the next city. Melech Tapuach is number 19 over here. Right here is going up to the north cities. The second war he waged against them, they conquered the north city, Tapuach. Melech Hefer, that's all the way north over here in Israel. Melech Afek, that is 21, a little more to the north and the west. Melech Lashron, I'm not sure what it is. Melech Madoin, the king of Madon is a little bit to the south of the earlier one and east. Melech Chotzor, number 23, is all the way up north as we're getting near the Mount Hermon area. Melech Shimron Maron, 24. Where is that over here? Melech Shimron Maron is right over here. Shimron Maron would be right over here. Melech Achshov, number 25, more to the north over here. Melech Tanach, that is 26. Where is Tanach? Where is number 26? Here, right here, Tanach over here, then to the north of that, Melech Migdo, 27, Melech Kadesh, all the way going up to 28, Melech Yoknam, the Carmel, and Melech Yoknam, I guess in the Carmel region, that would be back down over here, Yoknam, Melech Dor, Lenafas Dor, the next one is Dor in the general vicinity of the, I guess that county of Dor, the city of Dor in the county of Dor. That would be number 30. Where is number 30 here? Right over here to the left, right next to the Mediterranean Sea. Melech Goyim the Gilgal. This next one, number 31, right here, Goyim in Gilgal. And finally, Melech Tirza, the king of Tirza, which is in our map here, 32. Where is it? It's the last one. Somewhere here. Yeah, right here, 32, right here. Melech Tirza is right over here. Kol Malachim, Shloishim Ve'echad, going back to our text to show you that we finished this chapter. All these names that I just read over here, verse 1 through 24. And Kol Malachim, Shloishim Ve'echad, all the kings were 31 kings. And here you go. We mentioned in today's Chumash, very interesting. Now you have the list and the cities of exactly where the 31 kings were. And they conquered all those in the times of Yeshua, or at least killed the kings. Any questions or comments on today's lesson?